Hello there, Kelly, bringing you some more tips and information on critical thinking. So, by now, you did the 2 hour course class with Christina and myself several weeks ago, right? Or last week. And now you had lots of resources that was sent to you in an email, some more resources, right, of understanding critical thinking. And now we're going to dive in to some simplistic ways to be able to look at critical thinking so that critical thinking doesn't have to be an overwhelm type of topic. Like I shared in the email that I taught critical thinking logic to my daughter for many, many years, right? And during her homeschooling years, 4+ years, really and truly. We took some formal logic courses as well. And it was super powerful of getting to be able to recognize fallacies. One of my favorite resource books, and actually one of her favorites that she kept, that she still has in her bedroom, is The Fallacy Detective, or Detective Fallacy. It's a green book. It has this cute little dog on the outside walking like a detective and all that stuff and everything. So definitely check out that book, and I will share that also, a link to that book below this video, as well as in any other ways to be able to find that information. But let's dive in to the 5 tips for critical thinking. So let's look at how we are inundated with choices every day, right? It can have us feeling frozen, but understanding that critical thinking allows us to deconstruct all the static, right? It helps us to see through the bias, helps us to see through the manipulation. Critical thinking allows us to put aside our feelings and our emotions and to truly scrutinize and assess the situation. And there are many ways that we can go about this, right? But like I said, let's make it simple. Let's keep it simple with a 5-step process with 5 tips, all right? That will make it much easier so that as you go about your busy day, your busy lives, you don't feel that overwhelm of having to research or learn one more thing. And on a side note, the more you trust your intuition and your gut about stuff, then the more you don't have to dive in and research tens and tens and hundreds of stuff. But when we're wanting to be able to have that really good critical thinking conversation with a person, this is where this stuff is super helpful and powerful. So our first tip is form your question, all right? So what are you wanting to actually ask? What are you wanting to learn? So an example is, why do you want to exercise, all right? And evaluate all of your whys to sift through it critically in a way that is important to you, all right? So some people might want to exercise to get stronger muscles, to exercise to have more energy, to exercise to feel sexy, to exercise, whatever. What is your why to exercise? So, okay, so then from there, you're able to gather your information. So let's say you want to exercise because you want to gain more energy. So then you're going to fine-tune your search based off of exercise and energy. How is it related? What is the data out there that is going to help you support or not support how exercise and energy are related, right? So you're going to gather your information. And again, there's so much out there, right? So you have to be really clear on the idea of what you're looking for. And this is going to help. This is going to help you sift through documents, sift through testimonies, sift through doctors' reviews, regular reviews, trusted resources out there, right? It's going to help you weigh your options. And you can even, you can do a search that's specifically to biases. So let's say you can do a search saying those supporting or anti-exercising. Why are they anti-exercising, right? So don't be afraid to throw in all sorts of words in your search engine. Also, something to keep in mind is don't just do your searches on Google, right? Do your searches on several other different types of search platforms. I'm drawing a blank of some of the other ones that are out there, but don't just do it on Google, because Google is definitely about the majority that do a particular thing, right? And so it can have a bias already written into it. And so you want to make sure that you're having a plethora of choices when it pops up so that you can then narrow down your search. All right, so then the second tip was gather your information, right? The third tip is to apply the information. Something you do, this is something that you're going to do by asking that critical question, facing a decision to ask yourself, what concepts are at work here? What assumptions are you making, or is somebody else making? And is the interpretation logically sound? All right, meaning that let's say you come across some research that says exercise is unnecessary. It doesn't help with sleep. It doesn't help with energy. It doesn't help with anything. Well, does that sound logical to you, right? So there's not a logical sounding aspect and component to that. So that right there helps you with some red flags, right? So another example would be you receive an email promising you millions, all right? And that it's kind of safe to assume that, will you really win millions of dollars? Where is the logic behind that? The fourth tip is to consider the implications. So for example, say someone is a politician and they're promising that gas will become cheaper when they're in office, right? Or a doctor is promising a cure as long as you're working with them. So at first glance, this all sounds great, but what about the long term? Can these individuals truly make this clear statement? What is the fallacy that is in play? What else is in play? All right, those are all, and this is where being a fallacy detective comes super helpful. And some of the sources, the resources that I shared previously this week really dives into fallacies, explaining the different types of fallacies and getting to know them and becoming familiar with them. It helps you recognize when these lies are out there, right? These fallacies. So our fifth tip is to explore other points of view. Ask yourself, why are others drawn to the other side? So for example, politician, their policy, health choices, all these different things, right? This allows you to truly get into the mind and the thought process of the other side. So even if you disagree with all the points of the opposite, by exploring the other side, it may help you explain, or it may help explain why some of the policies or issues that don't seem valuable to you appeal to others. This is then going to help you further explore and evaluate and help you make more informed decisions, right? So I hope this has been super helpful. This 5-step process can help us make better choices for ourselves, to help eliminate that chatter in our hearts and our minds. And if more of us use this critical thinking skill, it will help us communicate and debate in a much more positive way, and to be able to have amazing conversations with others and to have great experiences and to not get defensive, right? To be able to have that logical conversation, that open conversation. So I hope this was helpful. I look forward to hearing back from you what your thoughts are on critical thinking and how logic and fallacies play into all of it. And share with me what you have been learning on your own. All right, you take care and God bless.